It's so important to keep the new commandment, which God says, love one another. There are so many different Christians. If you really look into denominations, there are 45,000 different denominations, and you can imagine that there are 45,000 different beliefs within the Christian faith. There's a reason why Jesus said to love one another. It's because there are so many differences. We're not going to all agree on the same thing. That's why it's so important for you as an individual to study the Bible for yourself, and you come up with your own conclusions about end times, about love, about what it takes to be saved. You have to read the Bible, and you yourself are going to stand before God and give an account for your life according to the knowledge that you had access to. And so, when you think about it, why would Jesus give us a new commandment? And he foresaw that, there's Catholics, there are Presbyterians, there are Jehovah's Witnesses, there are Seventh-day Adventists who all claim to be leading the right way of Christianity. There are people who believe that hell is forever. There are people who believe that hell is not forever. There's people who believe that Revelation has already passed and we're waiting on the second coming. There's people who believe that Revelation hasn't passed. There are non-denominational Christians. There are denominational Christians. There are the Lutherans. There's the Methodists. There's the United Way. There's the Church of England. And then there are just different believers throughout the whole entire world. Some have access to the whole Bible. Some have access to only a little bit of the Bible, where, they know about Jesus, but they don't necessarily know maybe about end times. They don't have the Old Testament Bible. Their language, only permits them to be translated maybe in the New Testament. Or maybe they only have fragments of the Bible where they only know John 3:16, or they only know a little bit, but they believe in Jesus. So there are so many different faiths. There are people who are new believers. There are people who are well-seasoned believers. There are people who are mature believers. And there are people who are immature believers. And so we come to this different roadblock here. And so Jesus really wants us to get the last commandment of love one another. We aren't to argue with people who have a weaker faith than us. That's what the scripture says. We're not to argue about the law, about what people believe about the law. We're not to argue about certain things, but yet it happens. There are people who believe that Earth was created in 6 days. Well, there are believers who believe that Earth was created in billions of years. There are people who believe that demons are disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, while other believers believe that demons are fallen angels. Some believers believe that Jesus is coming back again in the rapture, while other believers don't necessarily believe in the rapture. So hopefully that paints a little bit of a picture of some of the differences that are in the Christian faith, that we're all going to have different beliefs, but you have to be settled in your mind about how the scriptures want us to have faith in Jesus Christ, and the scriptures tell us to obey his commands. Now, some view the commandments as love one another and love God with all your mind, heart, soul, and strength. Others believe that there are more commandments that we should be studying and taking heed to. So you have to really discern and listen to what you believe the scriptures are telling you. But, there are some wrong ways to believe and there are some right ways to believe. Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe that Jesus is God. They believe that Jesus is just a creation of God. And then others do believe that Jesus is God. Now, are there certain things that are pivotal for you to be saved? I believe so, but some believe that you have to turn away from sin completely in order to be saved, while others believe that you're never going to get there in this lifetime. And so some of those issues are very critical for a person to understand. And so, I can't necessarily convince everybody. I can only convince those that are interested, and they may not like my channel. They may like someone else's channel. They may listen to someone else more than they listen to me. And I can't think that everything that I say is right. I still have to, make my videos, but I can't, say that everything that I think is right over someone else's belief. But yet and still, there are still going to be differences. Think about Jesus. Jesus is the author of life, and people disagreed with him and said things that he said was wrong. And so we go back to the new commandment is to love one another. He's talking about believers, not only love your neighbor as yourself, which mentions love for unbelievers, but the new commandment, which is to love other Christians. Thank you.